So recovery is everything. For an athlete, it's critical because it's a big aspect of recovery from either training or the event itself. And we don't get stronger in the gym. We tear up our muscles in the gym, and we get stronger as our body recovers from having been in the gym. High-fat diet is really at the heart of what it is to be a ketogenic diet, because fat is the only macronutrient that doesn't cause an insulin response. So when you're eating fat, you don't get the normal reaction in your body that you do if you eat protein or carbohydrates with a pulse in glucose and a subsequent insulin response. So a ketogenic diet is a relatively high-fat diet, essentially by definition.
And there's a suggestion that actually a ketogenic diet can have effects that preserve muscle. In other words, you're more sensitive to the amount of protein that you consume.
It's important to realize when a scientist says a ketogenic diet is a high-fat diet, they mean high-fat by calorie, not high-fat by volume. For a long time, it was thought that you need a carbohydrate to build muscle, but this is clearly not the case. We can metabolize fat for energy, so it's a good thing. We want to be able to metabolize the fat and burn it, essentially. Oxidize it is the scientific word, and not carry it around with us. As we age, we lose power the fastest, then we lose strength, and then we lose muscle mass. And one of the reasons why we lose power is we lose our fast twitch muscles as we age, but also our tendons and our non-contractile elements in our muscle and in our joints get worse with age. So the less stiff, and by being less stiff, they can't transmit power as effectively.
The most important factor in muscle health as we age isn't actually protein intake, it's exercise quantity and type as well. And so if you're talking about specific fiber types and fast and slow, we do lose more fast twitch as we age. And so the advantage of doing resistance exercise and more sprint type activities and balance activities and explosive movements, that's all working on those type 2 fibers. So they would be the ones that I'd aim for first, and then the diet supports that.
So for this to be effective, you'd want to primarily be able to activate and retain and maybe grow fast twitch muscle fibers. So how would you do that? Well, with an older person, you'd be very careful, because the kind of explosive exercises that are designed for exactly this purpose with a young person probably aren't a great idea with an older person. So explosive plyometric training, or explosive leaping kinds of exercises may or may not be a good idea with the older population. So how would you do it? Well, there's a variety of ways. First of all, a very safe exercise modality that does hit fast twitch muscles is blood flow restriction training. So in blood flow restriction training, you restrict the venous outflow but maintain arterial inflow to the muscle. So you use a device that looks almost like a tourniquet on the muscle, but it's not occluding the muscle, it's just changing the flow characteristics. And when training this way, you use a very light weight. So maybe a fifth or a fourth of what you would normally use. So it's harder to hurt yourself. And because of the blood flow restriction, the muscle thinks it's in great crisis. You get a big spike in growth hormone and many other beneficial metabolites. The other thing is, of course, it antagonizes myostatin, and I love to antagonize myostatin. Another way to hit fast twitch muscle is when you're doing weightlifting, fatigue out the slow twitch muscles. So slow twitch muscles are hard to fatigue. They're your sort of run forever muscles. But if you start off with a weight that you could probably handle for 15 perfect reps, but you couldn't do 16 or 17, you're about done at 15. And then the next set, you pick a weight that you could do 8, but probably not more than 9 or 10, you're about done. And then the last set, pick a weight that you could do 4. So that's a much heavier weight. And by then you've probably fatigued out, if you've done it right, lots of your slow twitch muscles so you can get into the fast twitch. And that's a common method used for training older athletes. And then finally, some exercises are pretty safe that are explosive. With good coaching, kettlebell swings, like a two-handed kettlebell swing with good coaching for form, is a very explosive exercise and expresses a lot of power through the hip hinge motion. And it's fun.
We're interested in the idea that exogenous ketones are both anabolic potentially and anti-catabolic, and they're both two important elements to the overall muscle balance equation.